Good evening, everyone. A warm welcome to Bhagavad Mission and Spiritual School TV daily Zoom Satsang. Today's topic is Ashtavakra Gita, Shri Bhagavath Ayya and Neuroscience, a perspective. We are very happy to have Mr. Balasubramaniyam with us today. He will share his valuable insights and perspective on this interesting topic. Today's session is for 1 hour. The first 30 minutes will be the main talk, followed by 30 minutes of question and answer. Sir, a warm welcome to you and thank you for joining us. And I now invite Mr. Balasubramaniyam to begin the session. Thank you, everyone. Let's begin.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Welcome all to this interaction where we are sharing our experiences on the understanding of Ayya's main insights. Through this sharing, we benefit by understanding it from multiple perspectives. Each one of us come from different backgrounds, and each one of us uh, approach or at some point got exposed to Ayya and how it has made a difference and what is our understanding. This is what we are sharing. Please feel free to share your understanding also as we go along. So in the last few sessions, we have approached Ayya's insights from different perspectives. For instance, initially, we asked certain questions like how Ayya is different, um, why he makes a separation between the internal and external, and things like that. Then we looked at also the scientific basis, the last interaction. Um, okay, I will try to talk a little bit louder. So in the last interaction, um, we did something, how scientific basis for Ayya's insights is established from neuroscience. We will be recalling some of that again. Recalling and reinforcing some of these things are very, very essential for deepening our understanding. In fact, the core ideas of Ayya is what we are repeatedly examining from multiple perspectives to gain a deeper understanding. So it is in this context today, we are going to look at it from another perspective, not losing the neuroscience, the scientific basis that is already available. So today, we will be um, talking about Ashtavakra Gita. Now, why we are taking that particular Ashtavakra Gita text? The background is Ayya has written books on Vedanta. He has written a book, Niye Meipurul, um, Anushtana Anmegam. Part 2 was Niye Meipurul. And he has discussed many of these things in the concepts. The interesting aspect about Sri Ayya is he talks about our ordinary daily life issues relating to that fear, sorrow, overthinking, OCD, and things like that. And at the same time, he has also talked about the very advanced spiritual side of what you in Tamil they call it Anmigam. Even there, and the interesting thing is there is no difference between the two. They are all one integrated thing. So it is in this context that we have taken this one because a lot of similarities is what is being said in Ashtavakra Gita. Now, just to give you a perspective about my own background, this will help because why we are here. In the initial period, I studied Vedanta. Vedanta consists of studying some of the important texts, which included Upanishads, then Bhagavad Gita, Ashtavakra Gita, Nirvana Shatakam, and things like that. There are a few texts that we do. All of them tell the same thing, but in different ways. Now, after studying that Bhagavad Gita and all that for quite some time, there was definitely a sense of incompleteness. So then I had to take to the experiential approach, which is the yoga. In yoga, you have, various fields. There is a branch of Hatha Yoga. There is a branch which deals with Raja Yoga and so on. We will talk about it on another day because Ayya fits in everywhere. That is the beauty. So after doing a little bit of experiential thing, even then, there was not a sense of completeness. Okay. So there was something missing in all these things. So how to discover it? What is that which is lacking? That is where I got introduced to Ayya. Now, after understanding Ayya, I found Vedanta making a lot of sense. So what is the missing link? That is what is addressed in that book Ayya has written on Vedanta. It is there in both English and Tamil, written after his, attaining jnana. So that missing link was established. Similarly, with reference to yoga, now yoga makes a lot of sense. What was before and what was after? So I say Ayya is like putting the horse before the cart. So if you put the cart before the horse, it will not be possible for you to enable the horse to drive. But if you put the horse before the cart, it can safely drive. In the same way, once you understand him, other things become very. Now I'm going to draw upon some ideas from Ayya's work in these texts which I mentioned, including Sunya Pravaham, Niye Maipurul Vedanta, and also some aspects that he covers in the Dhyana classes. Nowadays he gives the Dhyana also. So if you see all of them put together, it gives a holistic perspective. So what is interesting is the spiritual life and the ordinary, our daily life, are not separate. They are all one and the same. That is the interesting insight that it is. So I'm going to share what was the missing link, main missing link. Okay. So Ashtavakra Gita and Bhagavad Gita, what is the difference? This we have to appreciate. Ashtavakra Gita is a conversation between King Janaka and Ashtavakra. Both are jnanis. Both have attained enlightenment. That is what the story says. Whereas Bhagavad Gita, Krishna, the enlightened person, the God, talks to an ordinary person, Arjuna. So that is the difference. So the conversations are different, the discussions are different. All these are basically um, taken in the dialogue form. So one thing is, if you ask one aspect, one very big clarification came to me from Ayya's thing, the first basic distinction between aham and. See, this distinction is not clearly made out at the beginning. So then there is a confusion. That was one missing thing. Because concepts like Maya discussed in Vedanta can confuse a person. The world is an illusion. What am I doing here? Questions like that. But Ayya clearly clarifies. As far as the external world is concerned, what is it that we are expected to do? Right? Of course, Lord Krishna has also talked about Karma Yoga for the external world, and Ayya gives it Seibavaniya Illada Sayam. He gives it that way. So the distinction between these two becomes very, very important. In fact, after understanding Ayya, I can say the entire Bhagavad Gita is nothing but a conflict between Aham and Puram, conflict between internal and external. Because Arjuna, he was completely overwhelmed by emotion, complete overwhelming emotion that he has to face and kill his own brothers, kith and kin. But on the other hand, that is his Aham. So he has to do action in the Puram, which is to fight for Dharma. So what is the clarification? The entire 18 chapters, the clarification is these two are separate. Here you are expected to perform your Dharma. If the enemy is your own kith and kin, you should do your Dharma. You are a Kshatriya, you have to do your Dharma. Whereas as far as Agam is concerned, the emotion is concerned, he says, I am taking care of it. Whereas Ayya says it is Iyarkai, nature. Right? Finally, Krishna says to Arjuna, what? Surrender. What is the surrender to me? What does it mean? Ayya says, Agat Sharanagati. They are all one and the same. So, when you understand Ayya, you're able to appreciate those texts very well. So, given this background, now what I want to talk to you is the entire Ashtavakra Gita is 20 chapters and about 298 verses. What we are going to do is just select certain chapters' essence and understand what it says, then we will be able to appreciate Ayya's ideas of how they are. Basically, how Ayya makes it simpler, very, very simple, extraordinary clarity of our ordinary daily life. Okay, that is how I can basically say. So, what is the first thing that this chapter 15 talk about? The natural self. Ashtavakra Gita talks about the natural self. The question that is asked here is this enlightenment or nirvana or this mukti, as Ayya calls it, is this extraordinary or natural? Right? This is the question that is raised. And it also asks questions like, who is a jnani? What is his outward behavior? This question we often ask Ayya, how does a jnani react? We always have a particular illusion about jnanis, that they are all powerful, all knowing. So things like that. We have various kinds of imaginations about it. In the Bhagavad Gita also, there is a saying about this called Sthita Prajna. How does an enlightened person walk or move? The same question raised by Arjuna to Krishna. Then the other question that is raised here is, what is freedom? That is enlightenment or nirvana or whatever. Buddha called it nirvana. Ayya normally calls it as mukti, right? Is it extraordinary or natural? This is the question. Okay. So, what he basically says is, who is a jnani? How do you basically define a jnani? What are the characteristics of the jnani? Ayya answers this question, Sunya Prabha. In that book, if you see, there is a question. How do I know I have understood you? Ayya asks. And somebody went and asked Ayya, how do I know this? Whether I have understood? The same answer here is there. What is the answer? He says, உனக்கு நீயே முரண்படுகிறாய். Do you have inner conflict? முரண்பாடு, Tamil is called conflict. Are you in conflict with yourself? Okay. If that is not there, then you have understood. Mind is freely flowing. So one answer to that is, the check that one has to make is, there is no psychological dependence on any experience. Ayya makes it very clear. He has also talked about in his talks, whenever Buddha says, control your desires, eliminate your desires. Desires for what? They generally say desires for material things. Actually, it is dependence on experience. Ayya often says, whatever may be the experience, whatever may be the outcome, leave it free. On experience, Ayya has given quite a number of insights. One, all experiences are transitory. Their life is just half a second. So good experiences, bad experience, no different. There is only one. That is an experience. The moment we hold on to an experience, that is where this manolaya starts. Good experiences, memory. We start holding on to. Good or bad, it has to flow. An experience is an experience. I have given an excellent example that made a lot of clarity to me. When somebody came to Ayya and said, in the previous birth, she was the Sishya of Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, somebody like that. And she had a very spiritual experience, as though the whole world is one single unit, something like that. Then what happened? Ayya said, well, then she asked, what do you feel about it? Ayya said, this is a wonderful experience. Not everybody can get it. But that experience is no different from anger. So that particular answer gave a completely different insight about a lot of, because experience is experience. Experience must flow. It should not stagnate. The Mano line. So this is the idea Ashtavakra gives, psychological dependence on experience. Okay. First important characteristics, no inner conflict, no dependence on experience. But the experience cannot be avoided. That's natural. It has to come. All experiences must come. But it must flow. That was the third characteristic is about self-importance. The I, giving importance to yourself. Now, where does Ayya talk about this? He talks about it in his dhyana classes. That's why even the dhyana classes are important. In dhyana class, he has introduced an idea called Vidudalai Dhyana. What he says ultimately, To what extent you don't give importance to yourself. That means I'm not dependent on any experience. Who is dependent on experience? That I. Whatever happens to I, our experience, I'm not bothered. நான் எப்படி இருந்தாலும் ஓகே, எனக்கு என்ன நடந்தாலும் ஓகே அப்படின்னு. That is the what he gives in விடுதலை. So these three characters are mentioned in Ashtavakra Gita. Same ideas Ayya has given. No inner conflict. நீ உனக்கு முரண்படுகிறாய். Don't give importance to yourself. But for task we have to give as far as external is concerned. So what it all means is, ultimately, what Ashtavakra says is, it is basically the end of psychological interference. We are not using Sanskrit terms here, English terms for us to understand. Absence of psychological interference, which means aham is left free. Okay, so this is basically chapter 15. Okay, where the same ideas are mentioned. Now the second one. So what actually happens is the natural. What does it mean? No interference means leave it free. Aham naturally flows. So what they are saying is aham. Ashtavakra uses a different terminology for it. Consciousness or awareness. Okay, though there are semantically differences which we talk for practical purposes, but actually aham is what we know, our mind. So that is natural, functioning naturally is basically our original nature. This is already our nature, and the interference is the problem. So the moment interference stops, your natural state reveals. So naturalness replaces all spiritual effort. So Ayya talks about the difference between yoga and jnana. So do we need to put in a lot of spiritual effort to achieve this? No, this is not an achievement. This is our original state that we need to recognize. So it is only recognition. It is not an achievement. Just understanding. Often Ayya used to say, it is just an understanding. Okay? And mind, when it is allowed to function naturally, right, freely, that is the enlightenment or nirvana or liberation, whatever it is. Now, look at neuroscience here. Very, very important to connect the neuroscience here, what we talk. What does that say? Why we should not interfere? So absence of interference. So why we should not interfere? That is where the neuroscience we talked about. What did it say? The biological system. So we made a distinction between biology and psychology. The biological system is functioning naturally. It is a self-regulating system. And it restores balance by itself. You don't have to do anything. Everything that happens there, every emotion that comes there is coming to help you to protect yourself. If you recall that, it does 4 functions. If you understand the 4 functions, we understand the whole mind very clearly. First is protection. Fear is intelligence, coming as an energy for protecting you. The snake example. Second, prediction, thought, thinking, overthinking. Everything comes only for predicting tomorrow's action for external use. Third is adaptation, adjustment. When there is sorrow, what happens? What is sorrow? Whatever I expected did not happen. Sudden withdrawal of something, a security. Immediately, the neural network completely tries to adjust itself. You must allow it to happen. Then it naturally restores, right? And fourth, function, right? It is always moving towards this homeostasis or restoration of the balance. What does Ayya call this? As far as Aham is concerned, beautiful example. You don't have to go through so complications in science. Ayya, simple example. Aham is like Tanjore doll, Tanjavur Bommai. It will go this way, that way, swing everything during sorrow, worry, but finally it will restore the balance. Mind will restore this. Manamennum Mamaram. So automatically it regulates itself. It's called auto-tuning. Ayya calls it auto-tune. So where does the problem come? Psychological interference in the form of resistance. So resistance is the issue. So enlightenment or nirvana is not an extraordinary state to be achieved. It is just the natural functioning of the mind. When interference stops, this is the idea that Ayya Ashtavakra Gita give in that chapter. Second important thing that they are talking about is, why do we see? See, this is also an idea that JK has also been always telling. What is the seeking? Why do we want to change? Why do we want to struggle? Why do we want to go towards something? Because the assumption is the existing state we are dissatisfied. So there is always an assumption that I am incomplete now. Freedom is there in future. So I must become something different, modify the future state of mind. So what does Ashtavakra says? He says that any effort towards that, right, will only strengthen the gap between what is and what should be. There's the same idea JK also says. There is a gap between what is and what should. What does Ayya say? Can you accept yourself as you are? If you think the mind can be changed, that we can have a different experience. Still, that is different experience only. That will be transitory. So before seeking something for a future desired state, we need to ask ourselves, why are we seeking? The moment you understand that it is for a different experience and you're not giving importance to the experience, because anyway it is going to flow, then the seeking ends. End of seeking. Right? So accepting ourselves as a present state actually resolves the conflict between what is and what should. So this is the idea. There is a conflict between the conflict, but this is not valid for the external. That is very important. External world states must change. I have to improve my performance. There the rule is continuous performance improvement. I will have to aim for something different. But internally, the moment we try to address the gap between what is and what should be in the context of experience, then we get into it. So JK puts it as observer is the observer. So this is the second important idea, same idea that comes in with reference to seeking. First one is about enlightenment. Second is about the seeking. And Ayya makes it very clear. We should also bring in this one important concept about the psychological I. We talked about it in neuroscience. The psychological I is not an entity. It is not an entity. It is a dynamic model updated by the biological process after every experience. Why do we need that? Because unless that I is there, we can't deal with the external world. We cannot predict tomorrow. So every experience, every learning is accumulated, but it's a continuous process. Ayya says, நேற்று இருந்த நான் வேற, இப்ப இருக்கிற நான் வேற. That நான் or the I is a self-referential model created by biology, neuroscience, to deal with the world, to deal with the external. It is required for everything. But the moment it separates itself from an emotion and tries to defend, it has to defend itself in the external world. But if it does the same thing internally, that creates conflict. So that is where the whole problem comes. Here again, when there is a conflict, when there is a fear, fear is produced by biology for helping you. So the I will have to use it to deal with the external world, not fight with fear. So fighting with fear is like resisting fear. You are actually trying to fight with something that comes to help. So the experience gets divided into what is happening and what should be happening. That distinction happens. So the third important idea which Ashtavakra Gita gives is about conflict or resistance. So the conflict actually happens when experience gets divided. One part is trying to understand what is, and another part wants to change, moves into the future, so something different. So one movement fights against the other movement. One wave fights against the other, basically. So that is where one resistance cannot end the other resistance. So again, what is the solution? Ahat Saranagati, or leave it free. Don't create conflict within yourself. So what is the DNA of conflict? Ashtavakra says it is resistance. Resistance to what is. What is the solution? Accept what is. Or resistance comes, Ayya even gives a beautiful solution. Take it as natural. So this is the other idea. So one last point that we will make, and then we will discuss questions and answers. So this is most of Ayya's other insight, which is important here, is mind is only a reaction. It is a reaction. That is a situation. Biology responds to a situation, and it is expressed as mind. As we said, the instrument, violin is the brain, and the music is the mind, something. The expression is what we feel. So, what happens if we don't really like it? The expression we don't like. That's what is resistance. So, the moment we understand by resistance, we are only strengthening it. We don't want to get caught in manolaya, replay that, rehearse it. Brain does that also because for prediction, suppose I meet with an accident, I have to replay that, rehearse it so that it doesn't happen next future. That is good because I don't want to make the same mistake again. So the moment we put attention to that problem, attention is the energy. They get renewed. But the physical aspect for learning is natural. That will happen because biology will create that. Because it wants to protect you next. Even a child will be careful. It will try to understand. Okay. So, what is the solution? Ayya gives us simple solution. Accept. So instead of saying don't resist, that's a negative way of saying it's not possible. So the easier thing is accept. So when we accept, the other way of stating is we are not identifying. Okay. So these are some ideas that we wanted to give you for consideration. There are a lot more aspects that one can bring in, but from our practical standpoint, we are just saying that there is a lot of synchronization, lot of similarities, lot of ways of expression in the Vedantic literature, in Ashtavakra Gita, and Ayya's insights. We give a very good comparison. And neuroscience gives a scientific basis. So this is what we wanted to just give it to you. Please feel free to ask any questions, clarifications, and we can also talk a little bit more about other related aspects in this context. A vast version, we can talk a lot, but what I can say is I understood all those concepts because of my exposure to Ayya, a lot of clarification. Then that wanted that what is the gap missing? Right? The missing link, mainly the distinction between internal, external. That was one key thing. The distinction between yoga is experience based. So the entire stuff on meditation, Hatha yoga, everything. What are we aiming for? We are aiming for a better experience. But experience itself is temporary. Does it mean that we should give up that? No. Once you understand and do it, that makes sense. You know why you're. It is good for health. Nothing wrong. Okay, now I leave it to you for questions and discussions. Tamil also you can ask, there is no problem. But we will
Hello,
repeat the
sir.
same in Tamil. Yes, sir, please go ahead.
Sir, one person, but 10 years one mind, 20 years one mind, 30 years one mind. Different of mind experience. Ayya specialize 70, 80 above age. Oh, experience mind. So everything accept that person. So external, internal, no problem. External, very difficult struggle. Feature. So age, oh, different ages, experience day to day.
Yes. So what is the question? So you're saying that this person,
Sir,
80 years
internal
old, out
no
of
problem,
experience.
sir. I
Internal no
want
problem.
external very difficult struggle.
External,
Only one.
yes, external, yes, external. We need to respect the age and see what we can do within our capability.
Oh,
Regular exercising, whatever we can do within that. I'm
sir,
80 years
day to
old.
day,
Uh,
my family,
hmm,
external job,
yes,
communication.
yes,
So communication difficult
yes,
suffer.
yes.
Mm.
No, I understand. Those are problems that will vary from person to person.
I agree. Oh.
Okay, that we cannot basically simply say ignore. It is a real problem, right? But if we are internally little free, at least we will have better energy to deal. That we have
Okay.
to deal with it. There's no other way for us.
Okay.
Any more questions?
Sir, this is Chandramouli.
Yes, sir. Please.
I'd like to share a bit, and then based on that, I'll have a question.
Definitely.
Yeah. So the thing is, if you see Ayya, he basically makes the point that thought is everything. He gives the example of when you see a tree, it hits your retina, but after that it has to reflect in your memory for you to generate the thought that this is a tree and identify it as a tree.
Correct.
Right. So the same, he gives another example that a friend is coming, when a friend is walking in the opposite, walking towards you, and you are walking, but you are lost in your thoughts on some
Correct.
other issue. And until you may see that person, you may even hear that person calling you, but until the memory reflects and the thought generates that this guy is my friend and he is a known person to me, so and so,
Correct.
that recognition doesn't happen. So these two examples he cites repeatedly
Right.
to show that thoughts are everything.
Right.
Right. Now, independent of this, he is also, I'm saying independently because that's the way Jnana Mugam goes, right? So he takes this topic of thought and thinking.
Correct.
Right? Thought and then thinking, and based on that, the whole, and Agampuram. So these are the X and Y dimensions of X and Y axis of his stuff. And then
Right.
you can add the Z axis as happening, doing, involuntary, voluntary. So if you look at these 3 dimensions, his jnana starts from there.
Correct.
Now,
Absolutely.
yeah, and it is when in hindsight, this is I am saying in hindsight,
Fine.
when you look back, this is the correct, or this is the only possible starting point, because thoughts are everything. Thought is the root of the mind. In fact, thought is the only constituent of mind. So when when it is only mind, only thought, so you have to start from that. That's the alphabet. That's the number of the mind.
Correct.
Now, and in hindsight, it looks like, oh, he has started from that very root, from the very basic, and it looks like common sense. But I have not come across any other scripture, or even in psychology, even Freudian or Adler, or I mean, you name it, the Western psychology, or even Carl Jung. So Western psychology, as well as our scriptures, Ashtavakra Gita, or any other scripture which is focused on jnana, or even, let's say, psychology, I don't know. I'm not so well read anyway. So are there any work that starts with the thought, basically, for explaining either jnana or psychological side? Do you know? Because do you know, or have you come across anything? Because I don't see anybody else doing that.
No. Actually, all scriptures talk about it. They are talking about mind in general, and that includes thought. Even in Bhagavad Gita, there are slokas where Krishna says how difficult it is to control the mind. That is the thought flow. So definitely they have taught a lot of things they've talked about it. See, what happens is sometimes this is the greatness of Ayya, in my opinion, because he starts with the experience, the mind, the experience, which is thought, thinking, and things like basic living, ordinary living. From there it starts. Now, other scriptures also mention a lot of discussions on mind, and they call it vritti. Vritti is the movement of the mind. That is nothing but thought. Thought is seen in Vedantic literature as an object of awareness. In fact, Ayya also says about these things in Niya Maipuru. Even recently, in one of the things he says, consciousness is expressing as thought. Everything is consciousness. That is what even the Vedanta says. But Ayya puts it across naturally. That is, in his Tamil language, I can say, Unarvudan Unarchiyaga Vadipadu, which is consciousness expressing as thoughts and other. They are all basically, unless we have consciousness as the base, none of these things will come. So there are definitely discussions. Bypassing this, you can't discuss anything, because that is our problem. The emphasis where from we start, that is where Ayya starts from our daily simple life, ordinary life. And from there, he is able to explain where the problem is. JK talks a lot about thought.
Okay, but is that in what I get is the main core starting point in our scriptures starts with sort of consciousness and subject object, right?
Right.
But here
Thought
the difference
is seen as an object.
Thought is itself seen as an object, right? Because you loop back until you get that Vettavali or Brahman.
Correct.
You loop back.
Finally, they prove everything is Brahman.
And then, and until you get expression. Until you get that Brahman, where beyond which you cannot go, until you get to a point where beyond which you cannot go, and then you call that point as Svaprakasha, or self-illuminating.
Correct.
Right? So that's the loop. That's how they create a loop and it ends.
Correct.
But that's fine. But that is basically
why, no. That is why I was also confused like that. After gaining some clarity, Ayya's work, I could understand what they are saying. Ayya also says that in a different natural flow. Okay, he doesn't call it as awareness, but it is the natural flow. When that happens, when you leave the mind free, right, you get to that. But your presentation of that three axis, that is very, very good actually. Very good way of putting entire Ayya's ideas into aham, puram, thought, thinking, that distinctions in the three axes you mentioned.
The point I mentioned that point to get to something else. If you finish, and then I'll say that.
No, go ahead. I finish.
So the thing here is, if you look at computer science, right? So there is an entirely different field called theoretical computer science, which is forming the core nuclei of computer science, all computer science engineering.
Correct.
And you know that there is Alan Turing awards are given, and he is the father of this field, this entire department inside computer science. Now I see Ayya's insights or Ayya's work as a similar analogy to the field of psychology. Right? So it's sort of, you can open a new department or a inside an inner department, which is like theoretical psychology, a similar starting from thought, because to my understanding, Freudian or Adler or all this thing, the four grades of the psychology, or anybody else, the thought is okay. At the brain level, neuro level, you start with signals, all those things, that treatment is being done. But at the psychological level, no one starts at the level of thought. Maybe at the level of identity, they may start. Only Vedanta attempts to do it, to my limited knowledge. Okay, but even there, the treatment is given as a, it is not the starting point of how do you understand thought? How do you categorize thought? And from there, even treat emotions as thought, even treat the very identity, I itself as a thought. That kind of thing is only I see only one. And once that Ayya's knowledge clicks you, that's the missing piece, then everything fires up. Everything fires up, all the knowledge.
That's precisely what I told you. The main distinction, what was basically, that gave me a lot of clarity, the aham puram distinction. Because in Vedanta, this may be there. In Bhagavad Gita, there are discussions. But the distinction, once it is made upfront very clearly, then you understand that thought has a role to play. Okay, we can't dismiss that. Experience, everything is valid. This is for a purpose. From a neuroscience perspective, thought is required for prediction. And it's a natural biological output. Now, when you dismiss thought, as if you study Patanjali's Yoga Sutra, Chitta Vritti Nirodha, there should be no thought, then you get into thought. So what you say is absolutely right. After understanding him, Ayya, then the other things makes sense, a lot of sense.
Yeah.
You're talking the same thing.
I have a sidey question, but
I
would like you to explain the Chitta Vritti Nirodha, because I've had a problem understanding that also. Can you? Maybe it's an offline topic, maybe.
No, this is actually one of the famous statements in this yoga. Patanjali is completely different from these people. He is the father of yoga. So he said that vrittis is actually movements of the mind, that is thoughts.
Oh.
So when these vrittis settle down, you get into a state of samadhi.
What is chitta?
All the vrittis.
What is chitta?
Chittam is this conscious. Chit.
Okay, consciousness without thought is the...
consciousness is being still, is like an ocean. No vrittis, no movements.
Nirodha is ocean, is it?
Nirodha is eliminate. Nirodha.
Eliminate.
Eliminate all thoughts. Chitta vriddhi nirodha through a process of yoga.
Okay. So basically, you are looking at manamatra nilai,
Meditation.
mindless state. Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
Actually, the clarification now, what Ayya says is that it doesn't mean absence of thought. Okay. So you can't remove thoughts. It is natural. As long as I am alive, I am conscious, there will be thoughts. The moment you accept thoughts, they will flow.
Yeah, they will flow. Yeah.
That is actually the understanding of Chitta Vritti Vinaya now.
Yes.
So if you go like the blind understanding, you have to eliminate it. Then you go through Hatha Yoga, breath practices, concentration, meditation, all those things, which all involves a lot of effort and struggle. And probably it can lead you to some experiences, very good experience. But whether it is sustainable, that's where the question comes.
Even if it is sustainable, if your underlying understanding is a little
Understanding.
wavered, then the experience that you had is questionable anyway.
Yes, I have seen a lot of people getting into problems in that process. Because the end point keeps changing. One day I get a very good experience in my meditation. The next day I don't get that experience. Then I feel frustrated. Then I look for more. It's like drug.
Right.
I look for more like that. Whereas understanding sets you. That is another important insight I have. Understanding sets you.
And
Just
another,
yeah.
Just another question. Maybe if somebody else, I think somebody else is raising his hand. I'll leave it and then I'll ask later. I'll ask later. Thank you.
Yeah, please. Sudhakar has a question. Yes, please. You are on mute, yeah.
Good evening. Good evening,
Yeah,
sir. How are you?
good evening. Yeah, fine. Tell me, sir.
Yeah. Actually, I don't have any particular difficult question for you. Actually, sir, first of all, very thank to you. Even when I saw the Zoom meeting link, like with your name, I don't know. I feel like I should be attend this meeting. I can get something from you. I thought so. As I thought, you have given some insight today also. Actually, sir, after reading Ayya's books and got Ayya lectures and many things, I feel now I don't have any questions regarding this enlightenment or jnana. But if I want to ask any question, so regarding like neuroscience or anything, what we understood, how this will be working with your neuroscience chapter in the way we can analyze. That is the only thing I feel, sir.
Yeah.
Personally, what I feel after getting all the informations from Ayya's books or Ayya's teachings, I feel personally, this is my personal thought. Everyone understood like we should do something in our like in agam. If we say agam, if you say agam from also inner and outer, if you see agam inner, we should do. We should not react. We should allow. We should not allow. If you have any kind of ideology in inner, that will be doing, sir. As per my point of view.
Yeah. You're right.
Ayya's core point is understanding itself enough. Understanding, even though it can be clarity. How clarity comes now? Once you there is no other words. Understanding and clarity. More than that, we should not have any concept. If we have concept, that will be trap.
Another trap.
You should another form of trap. Like whatever thoughts coming inside you, let it go. Who let it go? Say,
Exactly.
okay, accept yourself. Don't accept. Accept. Don't conflict.
Correct.
Don't do any conflict inside. If you don't do any conflict inside, even though you take this advice as inside you, that will be a trap.
Absolutely.
So whatever
You are
the
absolutely right.
ideology, yeah,
We
whatever the
should listen
ideology,
and
we have
go.
to leave all the.
Should listen, go.
That's it, sir. That's it.
See,
So
you are
I feel
absolutely right. Absolutely, you are.
clarity or clarity is understanding alone enough, sir. So in that one more thing I have to say, for clarity also, we don't have any clarity about world or some kind of big concepts, psychological, and when Sigmund Freud said, someone said this, Ashtavakra Gita, Bhagavad Gita, studying all those things, only, as you said, who is searching, who is listening, who is asking that question, who is interpreting, like that all, if you ask all the questions, the answer will be going towards I only. I.
Correct.
So what is I? So I is, so from Ayya's I got the insight, like I is nothing but your one part of your thought.
Correct.
Thought is directing two way, one subjective and objective. So the single thought is subjective and objective. So in the single thought, the subjective do all the things, asking questions, getting answers, and explaining things.
One part
That
separates
subject,
from.
that subjective itself doing all the things.
Correct.
So you see, sir, we are interacting each other. I feel I am speaking myself alone, but I feel I am saying something to you.
Correct.
That is the problem. If I understood my I clearly, I feel like I'm speaking myself. That's it. I'm making sound myself. That's it.
Correct.
If I think like I am the person, I have all the knowledge, I am just talking to you with some manner. If I thought, then I am catching the point of I.
Correct.
So that understood only, that clarity only give the insight, I think so, sir.
Yeah. See, actually, your first point that again and again, after hearing Ayya, again I try to do something with the mind to follow Ayya's model, right? As you said, that is the reason why we go back to Ayya and says, that day I felt relieved on hearing you, but today I'm not getting. Ayya said it will be like that. Okay. Because we are not trying to change the experience. The experience will happen as per the situation. There will be some reactions by the biology for a situation. That will happen naturally. We are not trying to change it at all.
Yes, sir.
So, yeah, you are absolutely right.
So, sir, I just wanted you. So, how you kind of in what point in which? So everyone will have in certain area. So some people can get thinking. Some people will have clarity. So we have someone will. So I totally this just totally on the I itself will give the clarity. So for you, which area you can get the clarity from Ayya's teaching, sir? May I know?
Which area? What is your
Yeah,
question?
which area in the sense, in what way you got the clarity from Ayya's teaching? Or else do you have anything on yourself through medical science, through medical science?
What way, if you ask, as you know that Ayya gave that 4 or 5 points. If those 4 or 5 points are there, and then you are listening to Ayya, his ideas will click. You will appreciate it better. What are the 4 or 5 points? First of all, you should be interested in the subject. Secondly, you have some familiarity with the subject. Okay, these things. Third important thing, an open mind. Right. And fourth thing is no inferiority complex. He mentions these things. Fifth point is some frustration. You've gone through various things and you're a bit frustrated in everything. So at that time, when you listen to him, you've already gone through sufficient depth on yoga, on Vedanta, and things like that. Okay. So you know a lot of things, but something is missing. What is that missing thing? That is where this teaching became very important for me. The distinction, as I was mentioning, the distinction between Aham and Puram, that made a lot of sense to me. That helped me to understand. But there is only one important statement that made all the difference to me. What is that statement? Mind will resolve everything by itself. You don't have to do anything with that. Mind is an auto or self-correcting mechanism. That one statement made a lot of immediate relief to me. I felt like a big weight has been removed from my mind. So mind should be left free. That's all. Let anything happen. Let thoughts come. Let any experience come. And I had some background for it. The background was touch or acupressure, or acupuncture, where they have said body is a self-healing system. Allow the body. If you are sick, don't disturb it. It will heal. So that kind of ideas were there. But when say mind also is like that, it made a lot of that one thing made a lot of difference. You're on mute, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much for this sentence, sir. Even hearing itself, I feel actually I got relief already. So now I feel like this is also one kind of a way to understand. Yes.
Yeah.
Mind
Somewhere
will
it
be
clicks.
resolving. Yeah. Mind will be resolving by itself. Mind will be resolving by itself is another point of like we are loosening our eye.
Correct. Exactly.
We are not giving.
I tries to control, no? I tries to control.
We are not giving any importance to I should do something to do the mind.
Exactly.
Exactly. So you are loosening your eye based on that one statement. Mind will be resolved by itself. But you know very well the I thought is also in mind.
Correct. The
So
eye became free. The eye
became
don't
free.
have to worry.
This is exactly what Ramana Maharshi is pointing.
Yeah.
So whatever is happening, you just ask who is asking, who is. But that even sir, for that kind of Ramana Maharshi teaching also, after Ayya's teaching only we are understanding. Oh, this is the direction. This is the direction Ramana Maharshi also pointing. Now we are understanding all the things clearly. That all the credits goes to Ayya, and we have to give. We should be very thankful to him in our life, in the entire life.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Thank you.
That's why we are every day sharing our experience. And
Sir, for me, how I got the insight now, actually, this is the problem I got. So how should be getting liberated? What is the jnanam? And how should leave I? Then if I leave the I, where will be my reference? This kind of many thoughts I was in my mind. When I met first time Ayya, I asked this one question. Ayya, I am doing all the things by I am doing. This is the sense always I'm having. How should I get rid of this I? Then he just pointed me like, get one book we are having. uh, okay, he just signed and gave to me that book, and I just read that book. So what I got the insight now, he has given one clarity. The I is in part of your thought. The thought is creating I. That will be subjective and objective, because when you sleep there is no thought, because your I is not there. When you awaken, you are existing because of your thought. You are the part of thought. So this kind of thing, initially I got some insight, but finally when the eye is shadow, like the eye is burning rope, that will be there in you, but you cannot do anything with that. It is like burning rope. but you can't tie anything with that burning rope. So in that kind of way, I got this insight, sir.
Very good. Very good. Very nice.
So I is nothing like that. As you said the last session in the neuroscience, I is accumulating the knowledge and getting knowledge from everywhere, and thinking itself is a something we are high, we are doing, we are having all the
For
control
security.
to
For
do these
security.
things.
Correct.
Yeah, that is everything. So thank you, sir. Thank you for
Thank
this having the conversation with you. And
Thank
I
you.
feel also same like this. I just wanted to know from you how did you get this kind of experience you shared with us. Thank you for that. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. You are in Chennai or where?
Sir, presently I'm in Bangalore. Actually, I was in
Bangalore.
Chennai. Recently, I moved to Bangalore. I'm just working in the
Okay.
private company here as
Okay.
a
Good.
engineering manager.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? You can ask us final question. Any questions related to today topic or about the topic? Or any questions you can ask now. So I think no questions, sir,
we
now.
can close.
So we
Okay.
can.
Also
we can just-
9:45.
Yeah, yes, sir.
We can close.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. A special thanks to Mr. Balasubramaniyam for
Thank
his
you.
valuable time, insights, and wonderful sharing. On behalf of Bhagavath Mission and all the participants, I sincerely thank you, sir. And we
Thank
look
you.
forward to see you all again in our next satsang. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thanks.